Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to discuss the example for the limits. So find the vertical and horizontal asymptote given the function fx is equals to x over x plus 1. Step number 1, determine the domain. So now by referring to the function, here we have a linear function and the domain for the linear would be negative infinity until infinity. Here we have a linear function, but it is located in the denominator, so meaning that x plus 1 cannot be equals to 0. So x cannot be equals to negative 1. So the domain would be negative infinity until negative 1 union negative 1 until infinity, where the negative 1 is not included. So for this case, since this is a division, so the operation would be intersection. So here we have step number 1. In order to find the domain, we have the number line, locate the value negative 1. For the first part, here they mention that negative infinity until infinity, where all real number is included. For this case, we are having all numbers except negative 1. So meaning that empty circle and we have a line. For the operation, it is intersection. So we will have the intersection. So meaning that the domain for the f is equals to negative infinity until negative 1 union negative 1 until infinity, where we note that the negative 1 is not included. Step number 2, we are going to find the vertical asymptote. So step number 2, the vertical asymptote will be x is equals to negative 1. How to determine the vertical asymptote? By referring to the domain, and here we have the situation, meaning that negative 1 is not included, so that will be the vertical asymptote. Step number 3, we are going to study the behavior when we x approaching x negative 1. So now the suggestion would be we have a number line and locate the value negative 1. The value approaching negative 1 from the left would be negative 1.0001. And for the right hand side, the suggested value will be negative 0.999 So let's study the behavior. So in order to study the behavior, limits when x approaching negative 1 from the left. Another side, we will have limit when x approaching negative 1 from the right. So kindly substitute the function. We have x over x plus 1 equals to, so if we substitute the value negative 1, meaning that we are going to substitute negative 1.0001. So for this case, the numerator we will have a negative value over, if we substitute the value into this part, the negative 1.0001 plus with 1, we will obtain another negative value. So limits when x approaching negative 1 from the left for the function x over x plus 1, we will obtain a positive infinity, where the situation will be the function of f increase without limit as x approaching -1 from the left. So next, move on to the right hand side. We have x over x plus 1. So we will obtain a positive or a negative value on the numerator. So kindly substitute negative 0.999 into this part, and we will have a negative value over, if we substitute to this part, and we will have a positive value, because negative 0.9999 plus with 1, and we will have a positive value. So limit when x approaching -1 from the right for the function x over x plus 1, we will obtain a negative infinity, meaning that the function of f decreasing without limit when x approaches -1 from the right. So as a conclusion, we have to write down the vertical asymptote is x equals to -1. That will be the third step. Step number 4, we are going to find the horizontal asymptote. So how to find the horizontal asymptote? Limits when x approaching -infinity for the function x over x plus 1. Then we have another situation, limits when x approaching positive infinity for the function x over x plus 1. So kindly substitute the value negative infinity, and we will have negative infinity over negative infinity, which is IDF. So in order to find the situation, we are going to divide the numerator and the denominator with the highest power of x of the denominator. So in this case, the highest denominator would be x. So limits when x approaching -infinity, x bracket 1 over x bracket 1 plus 1 over x. So if we simplify the situation, so we will have 1 over 1 plus 1 over x. If we substitute negative infinity, we will obtain 0, because the key 1 over infinity is equals to 0. So at the end, we were approaching the value 1 as x approaching -infinity for the function fx. Next, let's move on to the right hand side. If we substitute the value into the function, and we will have positive infinity over another positive infinity, again, which is a IDF. Since the situation is the same, so limit when x approaching positive infinity, 1 over 1 plus 1 over x. The situation has been simplified. So finally, we will have 1 as well. So as a conclusion, horizontal asymptote is y equals to 1. So here we are, and thanks for watching.